Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyaso. Tonight, Port Harcourt Refinery resumes full operations as that of Warri also takes off this week. The Chief of Naval Staff warns ship owners against crude oil theft, threatens heavy sanctions on offenders. Federal government happy with the single treasury account, insists the policy has come to stay. And the EU is yet to agree on migrants as protests in Budapest enter second day. And on business news tonight, power generation chief affirms tariff hike is unavoidable for regular electricity supply.
On sports news tonight, goalkeeper Vincent Enyama pulls out of Saturday's 2017 African Cup of Nations qualifier against Tanzania.
We begin tonight with some heartwarming news from the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation that the Port Harcourt Refinery has indeed resumed operations. The group managing director of the NNPC, Dr. Ibe Kachuku, who led a team to the Port Harcourt Refinery, Eleme, River State today, said that at the moment the Port Harcourt Refinery is producing 5 million litres of petrol every day. And what this means, according to him, is that fuel importation will reduce significantly from now on. He also says that before the end of the week, the Warri refinery will also resume production. He explains that the NNPC's target is to ensure that all states' refineries begin to refine petroleum products and that operating at full capacity, all the refineries put together could supply 20 million litres of petrol on a daily basis. Now, he's also hinted that when all the pipelines across the country are fixed, the Nigerian Air Force will be engaged to provide aerial surveillance of the pipelines. The GMD then told journalists that a major plan is in the works to unbundle the pipelines and products marketing company into 3 different companies that will focus primarily on maintenance of the pipelines and the 23 depots across the country. Now, stiff sanctions will be meted out to ship owners who engage in crude oil theft or any illegal operations that sabotage the country's maritime sector. This warning is coming from the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Ibas, during a meeting with top management of the Shipowners Association of Nigeria at the Naval Headquarters in Abuja. Vice Admiral Ibas said a few members of the association still engage in illegal operations which undermine the collaboration between the Navy and the shipowners to secure the maritime sector.
We have an enormous task of providing a secure maritime environment. You all know the challenges we have over the time. It therefore becomes imperative that as stakeholders in the maritime environment, we need your support. We need your cooperation. The Navy, with its available assets, cannot cover the maritime space we have of over 84,000 square nautical miles. At any given time, your ships and your members are out there at sea. You see quite a lot that we cannot see. And it becomes, therefore, imperative, too, that you assist us with the necessary information and intelligence that we need. It is in this light that I will appeal to you as executive members of the association to warn your members who try to undermine the state to desist from such acts that are inimical to the development of our nation. Of course, we all know that any attempt to sabotage the country will be met with stiff penalties.
The Joint Task Force based in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, now has a new commander. Major General Alani Okunola takes over from Major General Emmanuel Atewe. Now, Major General Atewe, who has been posted to the Defense Headquarters as Chief of Logistics, conducted the new commander around the JTF facility before formally handing over to him. Now, after the inspection, the new commander received the documents that will serve as a guide for daily operations. Let's move on now. One major challenge of the Nigerian Navy has been how to effectively monitor the nation's waterways. And that's because some people who sabotage the economy, mostly oil thieves, carry out their nefarious activities through the waters. Over 70% of revenue accruing to the Navy is spent on vessels used for surveillance assignments. For example, the least amount of fuel needed for a day operation is about 6,000 litres. So you do the math. Well, I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by the Flag Officer commanding the Eastern Naval Command, Calabar, Rear Admiral Henry Babalola. Thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10 tonight.
Thank you, madam.
How difficult has it been to remain a step ahead of the oil thieves in your region?
It's been extremely difficult because navies worldwide very, very economically challenging organizations to run. We must fuel the ships, go on patrols, and the ships are even not adequate to start with. But that have been the major challenges we have, and coupled with the increasing courage and the daring efforts of crude oil thieves, economic saboteurs, about that are making our seas seemingly ungovernable. So that has been the major challenge, funding.
What about the challenge of equipment? You spoke about crude oil thieves, and we know about the attack that happened the other time where you found that they even took away some of the arms that you had. So if they're matching you fire for fire, as they say, what hope do we have?
They are not matching us fire for fire. The incident that happened in Calabar Channel it happened at the Marine Police yard. And before the police, the Navy, and other maritime stakeholders are on top of the situation. And we must be very careful here because there are other legal users of the seas. And that means at most times the Navy is an organization that must observe the rules and regulations, the rules of engagement. So it makes it very difficult for us. We do not forget too that these are Nigerians going about their lawful duties, and they're just being polluted by some misguided criminals. So we always take time to actually, when we are effecting arrest, we must abide by the laid down rules and regulations guiding our operations.
I'm sorry, let me take you back again to the issue of funding that we were talking about earlier. A lot of the work you do involves surveillance, and you need a lot of fuel to do that, a lot of money again. How are you getting around that sort of thing, seeing as surveillance is one of the biggest things that you're going to have to be doing?
The Navy, we must maintain presence in our waters if we are to be credible. And to add to that, we are developing new techniques, aided by surveillance equipment. We have the regional maritime awareness capability sensors in 6 sites along the coast of Nigeria. And recently, the government is building another, the Falcon Eye project. But even if we have a complete picture of happenings in the maritime environment, we must have boats, we must have helicopters, we must have ships that will actually carry out interdiction. And these things cost money. The government in the past has been very, very magnanimous to the Navy, but all of these are still not enough. We patrol 84,000 square nautical miles, 1/3 the size of Nigeria. And the Nigerian Navy, as presently constituted, does not have that required number, but we're not folding our arms. We know there are other competing needs from government. So we'll make do with the ships we have, and that's where we have found ourselves. We need new ships, we need new helicopters, we need new patrol boats, we need better funding. Like I stated earlier, by one of my ships, Pabana, the capacity is 880,000 liters for 7 days of robust patrol.
Just 1 week?
1 week, and they come back. And we buy the same market. It's not subsidized at all. So it is extremely, very, very capital intensive to run the Navy.
If we're going to put it down to a figure, how much would you say we're losing daily to oil theft?
The data for crude oil loss to oil is actually compiled by the Pt.1, the Oil Producers Trading Section, and we get this data from time to time. But our concern mainly was crude oil theft via pipeline, vandalism, and some other areas. But there are others too that are lost due to shorting. When pipelines are breached, they must shut down, and these two will be converted to losses. And there have been instances too where we have crude oil theft right from the terminals. That definitely is not really sometimes ago, in 384, the federal government then set up the crude oil task force. We had naval officers and naval personnel that are in these terminals. What they normally do, they are part of the fiscalization process. That is, we are there to ensure that the quantity of crude oil you're programmed to lift is what you are lifting. And these are areas to further losses.
All right, thank you so very much. Flag Officer Commanding of the Eastern Naval Command, Rear Admiral Henry Babalola, for joining us on the News at 10 tonight.
Thank you.
Now in part 2, after the break, we take a look at the economic outlook for 2016 and how the policies will affect the major agencies such as the CBN, the NPA and the aviation industry. That's in a moment. Join us again.